Hey everybody, welcome to the CSA 520 Cyber Defense course. This is a master's level course focused on cyber defense. The official description is listed there. It says this course will examine current issues and trends relating to technology that is being used in business and industry. We know that every business and industry uses technology and has digital assets. This course will help us focus on how to defend those digital assets, learn what vulnerabilities those digital assets might have, and a wide variety of other technologies and topics. It says students will research current practices, compliance of standards in the profession, and the competitive advantage of using technology in business and industry. We need to use technology in our business and industry. We need to know what the latest and greatest is, what AI is, and how it can be an advantage for us in our business and industry. But again, we also need to know how to defend that. We need to know how it's made up, and how attackers might attack it. If we know how it's made up and how attackers attack it, then we can successfully defend it against those attacks and use it better in our organization. So that's just kind of an overview of what the course is, kind of a broad overview. We're going to get into specific topics, and what I've decided to use for this course is a curriculum known as the Cyber Security Analyst Plus, or the CYSA Plus. This is an industry certification. It's for cyber professionals that want to deal with incident response, prevention, and response through continuous security monitoring. It helps validate our tech professionals' expertise in those areas. Now, I don't expect that you would go get this industry certification after the course. However, I would highly advocate that you study for it and try it. But I needed some sort of skeleton, some sort of guide for this class. I really like the topics and the hands-on nature that this course can offer, as well as kind of the cutting edge, the latest and greatest that this certification, I should say, has to offer. So more about the certification to come, but just a real quick overview. It's broken up into several different categories, and these different categories will have kind of individual chapters within our course. So we'll get into security operations, we'll get into vulnerability management, we'll get into incident response, and then reporting and communication. Now I'm on comptia.org, that is the organization that manages and creates the certification exam. There isn't a full-blown exam objectives that you could download and go through, and it goes through in detail all you would need to know in order to take the certification exam. If you just did a Google search for CYSA Plus, it would bring you to this page. The last thing that I will mention about this certification, again, you don't have to do it. It's not required of the course. It's just something that I chose to sort of follow for the class. But if you did want to take the industry certification, we can get this voucher for about half price, being a CompTIA Academy and having an EDU email. So if you wanted to purchase a voucher and take the exam, let me know and we can get this for a significant discount. It's not 425. I believe it's like about 240 or something like that, in the $200 range at least. And they kind of change the prices all the time. But as of this video, it's around, I'll just say around $225 to $250. So that is kind of how I developed the course. Now, the book that I'm going to use for the course is a Cengage published book. It is right here. It's called CompTIA CYSA Plus Guide to Cybersecurity Analysts by Mark Champa. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. It is the third edition. It just came out in 2025. So the cover looks like this. I have the ISBN number in the syllabus, and you would find it in the bookstore. Now, there are a wide variety of formats that you can get this book in. We do not need the MindTap, so you don't have to worry about anything with the MindTap. Your cheapest options are going to be an ebook or a paperback book. There's also something called Cengage Unlimited. If you have other Cengage courses, you can buy the Cengage Unlimited code, and then you would get access to all of those ebooks through that one code. So if you're in something like Intro to Computers, or I know there's a wide variety of courses that use the Cengage book, so I'm not going to try to name them all. But if they're a Cengage book, you might want to think about getting this Cengage Unlimited. I believe it's $150 at the bookstore, depending on the version they have there. That gives you 4 months access, and you can access all of your Cengage books for all of your courses using that one code. Now I'm just going to go into this book real quick. This video is not meant to be um, an introduction to the book, but I just want to give you an idea of how it's laid out and some resources here. So they lay the book out into 4 different parts. Those 4 different parts are broken down into 3 or so chapters. So the part one is cybersecurity foundations. It gets into technology, where our threats are coming, and kind of a brief crash course into cybersecurity. I'm hoping and I'm sort of assuming that most people in this class have taken at least some other cybersecurity course. Maybe they're the other master's courses that we have out there. I believe it's the 501, 510, and 520, if I'm remembering those numbers correctly. Or you took something down at the bachelor's level, or maybe your current job, you work a little bit with technology or cybersecurity, or you took another course at a different institution or college, but you have some sort of technology or cybersecurity background. I'm not expecting you know a ton, just a little bit. Um, if you don't, these 3 chapters are really going to help you. If you do, you can probably kind of buzz through those chapters relatively quickly. Now, I'm in the ebook, so just quickly show you in the ebook kind of how it's laid out. So it always starts us off with the chapter objectives, and I'll have that in our Canvas shell as well. And then it gives us kind of this trending cyber, some information, some up-to-date sort of information, as well as typically a scenario that goes along with it, trying to bring some real-world sort of awareness to cybersecurity and what this is all about. So the rest of this is just, very similar to a normal book. What I will draw your attention to, see if I can just skip to it, is at the end, there are some key terms. So those are always good to look at. There are some review questions. I would advocate that you would do those review questions. And if you would need answers for these, just let me know. And then there are some case projects. Sometimes I will assign one of these case projects. The review questions would help you if I have a quiz in the shell, and the key terms would help you with any assignments as well. So again, it's laid out into those 4 parts, and each part has various chapters. So for example, part 4 is chapter 10, 11, and 12. Now at the end of the book, there is a couple of appendix. There's Appendix A. Appendix A goes through a bunch of practice exam questions if you wanted to go take that CYSA Plus, so those are good to go through. And then before I had mentioned all the um, exam objectives you could get from the CompTIA site. This is very hard to see here on my small screen, but this has all of those objectives listed here in a chart in terms of what you would need to know. So that's the book. Again, a couple ways to get it: ebook, paperback, probably your best option, unless you have another Cengage course. And if you do, then you could get that Cengage Unlimited. All right, I'm gonna pivot back over to the Canvas shell. This is me, Matt Freilich. This is my 3rd or so year here at the University of Mary. I've been a teacher for a long time. I did cybersecurity out in the industry. I have a little side business where I continue to do cybersecurity and IT for businesses around town. I'll have more about my background and stuff in an introduction video that you guys can all watch out in module 1, I believe it is. We'll all post a video introduction, and I'll have one out there as well. But the best way to get a hold of me is through email. Since this is an online course, you can reach out to me here at mlfreilich@umary.edu. I have developed this course, and I will be the one teaching it the first time. You may be watching this video and someone else is the instructor. they would have their information here and you can reach out to them. If you have any issues with the shell, however, and someone else is teaching the course, feel free to reach out to me as well, and I can relay that information to the current instructor, whoever it might be. I have some information on how to navigate the course and some UMary policies and procedures. I won't get into that in the video, but please take some time to go through that. If this is your first course using Canvas, I would recommend that you click on modules and go to module 0 start here. In the introduction section, that is where this current video is. There's some course success, a step-by-step guide, just kind of some pointers on how to use Canvas and how to approach the course, or any course, not just this course. We have some academic and personal support services. You can click on that for all those pieces of information. And if you need to do some research for this course or another, we do have some services available at our library, and that's what this link is for. Now, how I advocate that you go through this course is through the modules. That's how I design the course. That's how it's laid out. That is where everything that you will need will be located, as well as your book. So what are you going to use for the course? You're going to use the modules. You're going to kind of flow through step by step, and you're going to pivot out to your book, whether it's an ebook or paper copy, to do the reading and to look up things for the quiz and those sorts of activities in terms of assignments. What a lot of students like to do is just kind of go by the course calendar or go by the assignments. I actually try to hide those because if you're just trying to, look at the assignments and hammer those out, you're not going to really have any context in terms of, what chapter it's a part of and those sorts of things. So again, I highly advocate that you click on the modules and go through it that way. Now, the way I divided up this course is by modules. There's 7 different modules because there's 7 different weeks. There are 12 chapters, and so for the first 6 modules, we're going to go through 2 chapters at a time. So module 1, chapter 1 and chapter 2. Module 2, chapter 3 and chapter 4, and you get the idea. The last module, module 7, the last week, will be for the final exam, as well as any certification prep resources that I have if you desire to take that at some point. Now, as of this video, the course is still a little bit a work in progress. I'm just going to focus on Module 1. I intend to lay out all of the modules in a similar fashion. They won't be exactly the same, but they will be very similar. All of the modules are going to start off with just a prayer and reflection. If you'd like to take a look at that, you sure can. Various videos, prayers, reflections, things like that, just to maybe clear your mind, get you centered, maybe to think of something outside of the course in cybersecurity for each module. So I have that. And then I have the objectives. So if you're wondering what the heck we're going to touch on and what we're trying to accomplish for each chapter, I have those objectives listed. After the objectives, I get into the chapters. Now I will break out each individual chapter. So for example, chapter 1 is called Technology and Underpinnings. And under chapter 1, Video slash PowerPoint, I will have the PowerPoint and a video listed. Now what I am choosing to do for this course is I'm not going to have a video that goes through everything in chapter 1. I am going to pick out 1 or 2, possibly 3 particular topics and just go a little bit more in depth on those. Things that I think need a little bit more depth, things that I have more experience in, things that we can do something hands-on with. That is what I'm going to do. So I'm expecting that you read all of the chapters. I know no one likes to read, and it's not the funnest thing, but that is what I'm expecting, being this is a master's level course, as you will take the time on your own to read each individual chapter. There is a PowerPoint that, again, like I said, that I'll have listed in those sections, and that will be a summary of each chapter, and those are from the publisher. So in a pinch, you need to at least go through the PowerPoints, but again, I'm expecting that you would read each chapter, and then my videos, I'll just pick, again, 1 to 2 or maybe 3 topics to go through in a little bit more depth for that particular chapter. So I want them to be short. I want them to be on just a couple topics so they're a little bit easier to absorb. That is my plan for the other videos. Then in terms of the assignments, all of your assignments will be listed under the chapter that they relate to. So for example, chapter 1, I'm going to give you guys a quiz. It's a 10-question quiz here. On the quizzes, unless I otherwise state, you can use your book. That doesn't make any difference to me. You would go through this quiz, answer the questions, and submit it when you are done. In terms of due dates, I don't have any due dates at the time of this recording, but the due dates would be listed right next to the point values. And typically those are going to be due, yeah, you'll have like a week essentially. I like to do Wednesday due dates. That way you have over the weekend to work on things and then a couple days into that next week. I can't, guarantee that if I'm not the instructor of the course or depending on how the chapter works, but that's what I usually like to do. We might have some discussions. With the discussions, I am asking that you do a little bit of research on these, provide your source that you used along with your post, and then reply to one other person. So a good post is going to take a little bit of time to research the topic, cite a source or two in your reply to the discussion, and then make a good, thoughtful response to somebody else, not just I agree or whatever. If you do your post, most of them are going to be worth 10 points. If you do your post but don't respond to anybody, that's going to be a maximum of 5 points possible. If you do your post and you don't cite a source, you're probably only going to get 3 or 4. I should say you're going to get like 1 or 2 points off. So I'm kind of dividing it up 5 and 5. 5 for your post and then 5 for a reply to somebody else. So I'm going to subtract 1 or 2 points off if you don't cite a source, subtract 1 or 2 points off if it's not a good, thoughtful post to the discussion, or if it's not a good, thoughtful response to somebody, 1 or 2 points off. These should be relatively quick and easy. I'm not expecting you to write up a page or even, a giant paragraph. Just put a little bit of thought, a little bit of research into it, and post. I will try to get into the discussions as much as I can. Um, I'm a little torn on that. Sometimes I feel like if I get in there, then students aren't as active and they don't want to, say exactly what they want to say because the instructor's in there. Just know I am looking at them. Sometimes it goes the other way when the instructor is in there and posting, then we get good response. We'll just kind of have to feel it out and see how the class is and how it goes in terms of how much I will contribute. Then another aspect that I would really like to incorporate as much as possible into this course are hands-on labs. Now, this first lab here is an optional lab. For the lab environment, we have something here at the University of Mary called the Cyber Lab. The Cyber Lab looks like this. I'm just going to take a minute or two to go through this. I have signed you all up with accounts, usernames, and passwords. Your username will be your email address for University of Mary, and the password initially will be password1 with a capital P. It will have you change that. Now, when you get logged in here, you should be part of a CSA 520 course, so you can create new lab reservations and you can schedule a lab for yourself. You will likely only see CSA 520 listed, and here are a bunch of labs that are available. Now, we're not going to do all of them. There might be, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 of them throughout the course, but I like to do as much hands-on as possible in all of my courses just because I think it helps with the learning. It's a little bit more fun. It's better than writing papers and those sorts of things. So for example, if you wanted to do this host hardening lab, you would click on it and you would schedule it. Now, any of them that are required, you will have to go out there and do. But if there's something that catches your eye and you just want to take a look at it, go ahead and click on it and schedule it. You can do these as many times as you want. The nice thing about these labs too is they're all step by step. So it's going to give you exactly what to do. You don't have to worry about trying to figure something out. Um, it tells you what to do and you go ahead and you do it. That doesn't mean you just run through the steps like a robot. What it means is you run through the steps and you try to get an idea of what is happening and absorb it because you have some success. I love labs where you get something to work and you have some success and you kind of get that aha moment. And that's how these labs are set up, and that's why I've decided to use them. So I've scheduled a lab pod, as it's called, and the lab pod I just kind of scheduled on demand, but you could schedule them into the future. And then what you do is you enter the lab, and what it's doing in the background is it's spinning up a bunch of virtual machines that you can access, as well as instructions and sample files and anything that would be needed. So here's our here's our topology for this particular lab. We have an Ubuntu server, a pfSense firewall, a Windows OS machine, and a Mint OS machine, which is a Linux machine. It shows our networking setup here. So we have a 192.168 network over here and a 172.16.1 network over here. If you don't know what that networking stuff means, not a problem. Um, we'll kind of get to that in like I said, the lab will walk you through it. So on the content here, the content is all of the instructions. It's going to show you the exam objectives that this particular lab um, adheres to. And then as you keep scrolling, it will get into all of the passwords that you need and the IP addresses you need for the lab, as well as the instructions. So you start with the first step, navigating the local group policy editor. It says set the focus to the Windows OS computer. How do I do that? Either click Windows OS or topology, click Windows OS. Now I have this in focus and it's spinning up here. Now, this works very, very well if you have dual screens. If you want to try to split the screens, that might be helpful as well. So one thing that I usually like to do is on the Windows OS that I'm working with, I will undock this. It puts it in a separate window and makes it larger. I'll drag it over to the right, and then I'll drag my instructions over here on the left. So it says bring up the login window by sending the Control-Alt-Delete. So again, it literally step by step tells you exactly what to do. Now, what I will usually do for the labs is have you take certain screenshots just to prove that you did it along the way. Now, when you take your screenshots, this is something that I would like you to do. Easiest way for me to take screenshots is to just search for the snipping tool, hit new. Now, when you take your screenshots, I would like you to include the section here that shows that you're logged in. So let me get my highlighter here. I can see that you're the person logged in, and you can see the lab environment. So whatever screenshots you need to take, I will point those out. You'll take those along the way, and then you'll submit those back on the course shell. So most of my assignments going back to our shell would be discussions, quizzes, labs, and then maybe a research assignment or two. I don't anticipate having a bunch of papers. There might be one or two throughout the way, but I don't necessarily like to grade those, and I'm sure you probably don't like to write a bunch of papers. So I prefer the hands-on, and I'll try to do as much of that as possible. So that's kind of the main things I wanted to introduce here. That's going to be the main layout of the course, broken into modules, broken into chapters within those modules. All the things that you would need for your assignments and whatnot are either going to be on the Canvas shell here or your Cengage book. I think that about does it for this video. If you have any questions or get stuck, please feel free to reach out. That is what I am here for. Happy to answer any questions. I try to get back to you within a day at least, but usually I'm pretty good getting back to you very soon with the email. So that is all for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great class.